Welcome back, everybody, to the Cleveland Guardians franchise here on MLB The Show 22. Today's episode's a big one. We have made it to the trade deadline here in year number 2, a major opportunity for our ball club to improve for the short term and the long term. And after our 1-5 start post All-Star break, we kind of need a makeover. We have been in first place of the division the entire season, but the White Sox have just passed us. They're half a game ahead of us, and the Royals are right there too. It has been a three-way race between us, Chicago, and Kansas City all year, and we need to be able to push ahead of those guys. We also need to make sure if we don't win the division, we can at least get a wild card spot. As it stands now, we are tied with Toronto for the second wild card spot in the American League. And while a lot of teams in the AL are trending upwards, we are trending downwards. We have not played as well as of recent. So because of that, I think we need to make some moves this deadline and try to figure out which direction we need to go in, whether we want to go all in on a playoff spot, maybe we want to sell off some pieces and continue to really just focus on the future, or do a mix of both, which is kind of what we did last year when we were mostly sellers, but we also made the biggest move of the entire trade deadline by acquiring Ketel Marte from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Throughout this season, the MLB trade market has been wild. There's been a lot of big trades throughout the year and very recent. The Angels got Nico Horner from the Cubs for Jared Walsh and David Fletcher, a.k.a. the Angels got completely fleeced. Nick Madrigal was traded away, Gio Urshela to the Royals, Brian Hayes to the Tampa Bay Rays for a literal bag of chips. Leave it to the Pittsburgh Pirates to just completely cheap out. The funny thing about that is, like 2 weeks prior, the Pirates traded away Brian Reynolds to the Tampa Bay Rays. At least in the Brian Reynolds deal, they actually got stuff. Shane Baz and Xavier Edwards are two really good prospects, but leave it to the Pirates to completely cheap out. Luis Arias for Forrest Whitley was a pretty big trade. We've obviously made some deals here and there, getting guys like Luis Campusano and Edward Cabrera throughout the season. So there have been plenty of moves throughout the Major League season, and I anticipate there will be plenty more over the next 4 to 5 days. We're going to start by simulating this 4-game set here against Tampa Bay. During our little sim, we got a trade offer from the Yankees involving Miles Straw. Last episode, the Yankees offered us a different trade for Miles Straw, and it was actually a really good offer. This one is for Josh Donaldson and Gleyber Torres. Donaldson isn't really appealing because he's old and he's not good, but Gleyber Torres is kind of an interesting idea. He is a free agent at the end of the year, but he's talented, and this clearly shows me that the Yankees really want Miles Straw, considering they have offered us multiple trades for him recently. We've got a pretty big move involving a couple other American League teams, as John Means is headed to the Texas Rangers in exchange for Aaron Dayco, a talented pitching prospect signed last month out of international free agency. So the Rangers just chose to sign him and turn him into John Means. That's good business on part of the Texas Rangers, and I think it's a good deal for Baltimore too, because Dayco's a really, really good prospect. So don't normally find many win-win deals like that, but I think that's a win-win. We would take 2 out of 4 against the Rays. We're now 59-49, still in second place in our division, and we're now a game back of the second wild card spot in the American League. Just within the past 4 days, there have been a ton of trades. Benny Montgomery, the third-ranked prospect in baseball, traded in division from the Rockies to the Giants, David Bodie to the Padres, Jeremy Pena to the Cubs, Trey Mancini to the Royals, Tommy Pham to the Red Sox, obviously the John Means deal, Austin Hayes to the Angels. I mean, it has been trades galore as of recently, and now on trade deadline day, I am expecting more fireworks, especially with a lot of big names here on the trade block. We've got an opportunity to possibly go out and get. So the first thing I really wanted to do here at the deadline was figure out our direction and go from there. Do we want to buy? Do we want to sell? Do we want to do a little bit of both? And that starts with trading away Amed Rosario. Rosario is a good player, and he's having a really good season. He's been a very quality starter for us the past 2.5 seasons. But Rosario is a free agent at the end of the year. We have a lot of really good shortstops in our organization. Guys like Brian Rocchio, Gabriel Arias, Tommy Madlock, who we drafted in the second round last year. We just don't need Amed Rosario anymore, and I think we can get some good value for him. The San Diego Padres, I think, are a good landing spot. Although they don't need a shortstop because they have Fernando Tatis, and even behind him in the farm system, guys like Jackson Merrill and C.J. Abrams. But Amed Rosario can play all over the diamond, and the Padres have quite a few holes in their lineup. They could probably use another infielder, maybe someone who can play second. They could use a corner outfielder as well. So I think the Padres would be a good landing spot for him. We only got one offer from them in the trade finder for Stephen Corona and Joey Votto. So I wanted to do some digging, figure out who I would like, and I found a couple prospects who made sense. So at center field, they have Cedric Mullins and Trent Grisham, who are really good. Behind them, they have two very intriguing prospects. James Woods, a 20-year-old outfielder, 6'7", left-handed hitter who has a ton of upside at the plate. Along with his bat, Wood is honestly a Gold Glove level defender pretty much right away. He's having an all-right season in AAA, and he's very close to being Major League ready. So because of that, the Padres might be a little bit hesitant to trade him. If they don't want to deal away Wood, I would be very interested in Robert Hassell III instead. Hassell was picked in the top 10 a few years ago in 2020. His development's coming along pretty well, currently in AA. I really wanted to add a good prospect during this trade deadline who hits left-handed and has a lot of upside power-wise, both of which can be said about James Wood and Robert Hassell. Hassell is currently on the trading block. It's kind of ironic because James Wood has been on the block all year and they just took him off and now have replaced him with Robert Hassell. So as I was coming up with a trade package, I had to include Joey Votto. The Padres are very low in terms of money, so we needed to throw in for salary purposes. So it was clear to me that they value James Wood more than Robert Hassell, and of the two, I would probably prefer Wood as well. So the way I thought about this is, would I rather James Wood or Robert Hassell in something else like Ryan Weathers? Weathers is really interesting, and I think he was enough for me to sort of pull the strings for me to want Robert Hassell instead. With Weathers, he's a 23-year-old line reliever who has good hits per nine and good walks per nine, which are the two most important attributes for pitchers in this game. And he'll be a major upgrade to our current line reliever, Enyel De Los Santos. So I was able to come up with a deal I really like. Rosario, along with a couple of prospects in Joey Cantillo and Alex Cole, going to the Padres for 39-year-old first baseman Joey Votto, who is just in there for salary purposes, with the two big pieces being outfield prospect Robert Hassell III, a lefty bat who should be a huge addition to the farm system. Outside of George Valera, we don't really have any great pure lefty hitters in the organization, so I think adding Robert Hassell is going to be a big deal. Ryan Weathers is somebody who's going to be able to help right away at the big league club. He'll be a massive upgrade to Enyel De Los Santos, who is just not good as our line reliever. So Weathers will replace De Los Santos in the bullpen, and Robert Hassell will join our loaded farm system that now gets even better. So even if our everyday lineup gets worse with losing Med Rosario, we had a great line reliever with Ryan Weathers, and we had a phenomenal A potential prospect in Robert Hassell, who was going to start the year in AA. So obviously Joey Votto was also in that trade. I just don't really want Joey Votto. I have no need for him. He belongs in Cincinnati. He's a Cincinnati Red. We're going to trade him to the Reds, who actually kind of need him. He's now their highest rated first baseman. We're going to get third base prospect Rhys Hines in exchange for him. He's nothing overly special, but you got to realize Joey Votto is 39 years old. He doesn't have a ton of value, and we do need some more third base depth. So far today, we've made one big trade. I'm not counting the Joey Votto one because this move is pretty insignificant in the long term. But we've made one organizational changing move, that being the Med Rosario trade. I'm not really sure if we got better in the short term because we lost a big piece in our lineup with Rosario, but we did get a big addition to the bullpen with Ryan Weathers, and of course our farm system got better by adding Robert Hassell. So I wanted to make another trade here where we are just simply buying. We're getting a veteran piece from a bad team who can be an instant impact for our lineup. Maybe won't be a long-term addition, but somebody who can help us here on our playoff push. There were two guys who really caught my attention, both of whom at one point were teammates here in Cleveland just a couple of years ago. The first of which is Baltimore Orioles second baseman Cesar Hernandez. He's a switch hitter who's been a very reliable starter for a number of teams, including us, for upwards of a decade. Hernandez spent all of 2020 and the first half of 2021 here in Cleveland before being traded away to the Chicago White Sox. And the other player I'm looking at, currently on the Texas Rangers, who was also on our roster in 2021, is Eddie Rosario, who's a really talented outfielder. He was traded to the Braves that year at the deadline. You know what he did after that? He won playoff MVP and was a huge reason why the Braves ended up winning the World Series that year. He has since been acquired by the Texas Rangers, where he's having a good season. Of those two players, the one who entices me a little bit more is Eddie Rosario. I think he's a little bit better, and obviously he comes with that winning experience. So I was able to formulate a trade that I liked. we're going to be getting Eddie Rosario back here in Cleveland, along with two decent prospects, including shortstop Luis Angel Acuna. I believe he is the younger brother of Ronald Acuna, so that's kind of fun. We're also getting corner outfielder Bayron Lora. Both Acuna and Lora are currently in Double-A. I think they're both hitting over 300 this year, so they're both on the rise, playing pretty well. The biggest addition Texas is getting will be 25-year-old starter Peyton Battenfield. He's nothing overly special, but he's having a good year in AAA and could be a nice addition to their major league rotation. They will also be getting Enyel De Los Santos, who's been our long reliever the past 2 seasons. He hasn't been very good, but he does have B potential, so there is value. And then Gabriel Rodriguez, he is a 65 overall third baseman. I just don't really see him in the long-term plans, and I'm a little bit more intrigued by those other 2 prospects we're getting. So that's going to be a good deal for us. We're making some nice additions to the farm system and obviously making a big addition with Eddie Rosario. So those are going to be the trades we make here at the deadline. We are going to make some other moves within the organization. We're going to be sending out Alex Vesia, who is kind of struggling. We did the same thing a month ago with Camilo Duvall, and since then Duvall has been playing really well. The main reason why I sent Vesia down was actually to bring Camilo Duvall back up, so he will return into the Major League bullpen. We're also going to send down Bobby Bradley. It's not that Bobby Bradley is playing poorly, but there's a player I really want to call up, and that is shortstop Brian Rocchio. The main reason why I traded Emed Rosario in the first place was for us to call up Rocchio and make him the full-time shortstop going forward. His numbers in AAA aren't that impressive, but he has been playing very well the past month or so. I think he's ready to be a full-time starter here at the Major League level, so we're going to call him up, and he's going to be the starting shortstop going forward. So the lineup looks a little bit different now with the addition of Eddie Rosario via trade from the Rangers and Brian Rocchio, who's been called up. For now, Rocchio will only play against righties. We're going to have Andres Jimenez start at shortstop against lefties. Rocchio is actually better against lefties, but I want Rocchio to play a majority of the games, so that's why he's going to play against righties. The pitching rotation remains the same, the bullpen a little bit different with getting Camilo Duvall back and adding Ryan Weathers from the Padres. So we're going to hop into a game here against the Kansas City Royals, and as you guys know, we do not like the Royals at all, and they do not like us at all. We had played them earlier in the season a few episodes back, and the Royals were consistently throwing well inside. They had pegged multiple of our batters, and we retaliated by doing the same thing late in the game when we had built a big enough lead. So this is a major rivalry between two teams who have really grown to not like each other in a very quick amount of time. We're going to get a look at Brian Rocchio's Major League debut today. He was just called up from AAA Indianapolis, and he will now get to be the everyday starting shortstop going forward, with Emed Rosario being traded away to the Padres. Rocchio is not the only player making his team debut today, as Eddie Rosario will be making his first appearance here with the ball club. Technically, this is not Rosario's first game in our organization since he was with the team a couple of years ago, but this is his first game in his second stint with Cleveland. So technically it's his team debut, but not really. So we're going to be facing off against Brad Keller on the mound. For us, it'll be Adbert Alzolay. I'm pretty sure Alzolay started the first time when these two teams were throwing at each other, although Alzolay was like the only innocent pitcher that whole game. Jose Ramirez draws a walk. That'll bring up Franmil Reyes with 2 away. Pitch on its way from Keller, and Reyes is going to pop this one up. Franmil Reyes has done pretty much nothing since the All-Star break. It's weird. Last year, Reyes struggled in the first half of the season, was great after the break, and this year it's been the total opposite. We go to the bottom of the first, 1 away here for Isaac Benitez. He's going to rip an extra base hit, rounding second, headed to third, and that's going to be a triple. Isaac Benitez has had a pretty bad season overall, but he always seems to play well against us, and I don't know why that is, but he plays well against Cleveland, and he does not play well against the other 28 teams. Andrew Benintendi gets plunked on the kneecap. Oh boy, that's our first hit batter today, and I suspect not the last. The Royals are going to get revenge as Salvador Perez rips that one into the right center gap. Miles Straw cannot make the play, and that'll be an RBI double for Salvador Perez, and the Royals will make it a 1-0 ball game. I don't think Adbert Alzolay intentionally hit Andrew Benintendi, but I think he's regretting throwing a little bit inside there. So he's in a little bit of a jam as he does strike out Mitch Haniger. That's a big one because there was only 1 away. You could have argued that he should have intentionally walked him. And then Urshela's going to ground out to third. Jose Ramirez makes the play. So all things considered, I think that inning could have gone a lot worse. And I'm really not upset that 1 scored because Kansas City could have easily gotten 2 or 3. Here's Eddie Rosario, his first at-bat with Cleveland since the trade, and he hits that one high and deep in a right center field. That baby's gone! Solo home run for Eddie Rosario. That's a quick start here with the Guardians. His 16th home run of the season. And his very first one here back in Cleveland. And the Guardians are going to tie the game up at 1. So Eddie Rosario making some noise in his first at-bat here with the team to tie this one up. We go later in the inning. Here's Brayan Rocchio, his first Major League at-bat. He got ahead in the count early, making it 3-1. But he's going to pop this one into center field. So not a horrible first at-bat for Rocchio, but unfortunately he doesn't get on base. Not a bad inning, though, as Cleveland ties it up. We move to the bottom half of the inning. Here's Edward Olivares. Pops this one into foul territory. Josh Bell makes the play. Nice catch. The camera pans over to Bell as if he did something wrong. Maybe he said something to the Royals dugout. I'm pretty sure the first time we had played against Kansas City, when everybody was getting plunked, Josh Bell got hit twice in that game, so he has extra reason to hate the Royals. Ketel Marte rips a single into center field. That one nearly ripped Brad Keller's head off. Jose Ramirez, he draws a walk for a second time today, so Ramirez and Marte are on board. Big opportunity here for the Franimal, who's been, as I said, ice cold since the All-Star break, and it doesn't get any better as he checks his swing on the outside slider. So Reyes goes down. Not a great inning from Brad Keller, but he doesn't allow any runs. As we go to the bottom of the third, Benitez singles into center, but the bigger thing here, I don't know if you guys noticed Brayan Rocchio sliding, but he actually got injured. So that's not good. And Brayan Rocchio's Major League debut will come to an abrupt end. He'll be replaced by Andres Gimenez. I didn't get to see what exactly the injury is, so we'll find out after the game how bad or how not bad Brayan Rocchio's injury is. Hopefully it's not anything that's going to keep him out long term, as Haniger strikes out to end the inning. We move to the top of the fourth, still tied at 1. Josh Bell gets plunked again. I feel like Josh Bell probably has gotten plunked more than anybody on this team against the Royals, and obviously that says something. Eddie Rosario lines out to first. They're going to tag Bell for the double play. Great heads-up move there at first base by the Royals to turn 2. That wasn't even bad base running by Josh Bell. That was just great defense. So with 2 away, that'll bring up the red-hot Luis Campusano. He's going to rip this one into left center field. That one will bounce in front of a wall. The unfortunate thing is, I think Josh Bell would have pretty easily scored had it not been for the double play. And again, it's not really Josh Bell's fault, but nonetheless, Campusano gets a double. We'll see if Andres Gimenez can drive them in. He doesn't, but he keeps the inning alive, drawing a walk. So Gimenez is aboard. That'll bring up Miles Straw. He's going to pop this one into foul territory, and it will be caught. So the Royals get out of the inning. Cleveland is having no problem getting base runners on, but they're not doing anything with said base runners, and it still remains tied at 1. Gio Urshela leads us off here in the bottom of the fourth. That one will get by the glove of Eddie Rosario, possibly for extra bases. Rosario having trouble getting to it, as that'll be a double for the former New York Yankee. So Urshela's in scoring position with nobody out. 2 away now for Adalberto Mondesi. He's going to fly this one into right field. Should be caught by George Valera. So the score is 1-1 through 4. Not just the score on the scoreboard, but that's how many players have been hit by each team as well. We'll see if that number increases along with the score of the actual game. Ketel Marte leads off the 5th inning. He singled earlier. Now he's going to draw a walk. So Marte reaches base for a second time. Of course, he was last year's big trade deadline acquisition. That'll bring up George Valera, who rips it into right field. This one has a chance, and it will stay in the ballpark, but go for extra bases. Valera going to slide into second safely for a double. That one was just shy of being a home run, but nonetheless, the Guardians have a pair of runners in scoring position with nobody out, and a huge opportunity for Jose Ramirez. Unlike his first 2 at-bats, he's going to put this one in play. It goes high, deep, and gone! 3-run shot into straightaway center field for Jose Ramirez. Now Cleveland is capitalizing with runners on base. That's J-Ram's 24th home run of the season, 427 feet. And from there, Brad Keller will be taken out of the game. I feel like he should have been taken out after the George Valera play. It seemed like Cleveland was really starting to do some damage, and obviously Jose Ramirez finished it off, driving 3 across. He'll be replaced by Jose De Leon, who at one point was a top prospect with both the Cardinals and the Rays, but in just over 20 pitching appearances, his career ERA starts at the number 8. He faces off against Eddie Rosario with 2 away, who had the home run earlier. This one's going to be fair for a base hit into right field. The right fielder bobbles it, so Rosario is actually going to go 2, and that decision backfires. That's a big-brained play by the right fielder to bobble the ball and bait Eddie Rosario into trying to get the extra base hit. We go to the bottom of the fifth. Isaac Benitez strikes out. Good work by Adbert Alzolay. We haven't really talked about Alzolay a whole lot. He's had a quietly really good game. So far, 5 innings, only allowing 1 run as we move to the 6th. Andres Jimenez draws a walk, his second of the game. Josh Naylor comes in as a pinch hitter for Miles Straw, and Naylor's going to make the most of it as that one bounces in front of a right center field wall for what looks like a double. Jimenez rounding third, looking to score from first, and he does, sliding home. An RBI double for Josh Naylor, and the Cleveland Guardians now lead this game 5-1. Good at bat for Naylor coming off the bench. That'll bring up Ketel Marte, who hits that one high and deep into center field, and that one is gone. So now the Guardians are really turning this into a blowout as they make it 7-1. Cleveland scored 3 runs in the 5th. They had 3 more in the 6th. And from there, De Leon will be taken out of the game, replaced by the veteran Ross Stripling. He'll face off against Jose Ramirez, who homered in his last at-bat. He's possibly looking to do so again. That one went high. I don't know if it's going to have enough carry, and it will! Solo home run for Jose Ramirez, and the Cleveland offense is on fire with 7 runs in the last 2 innings. Talk about dominating against your arch rivals. Adbert Alzolay continuing his strong performance as he strikes out Salvador Perez. Runner on first, 1 away here for Gio Urshela. He hits this one nicely into center. George Valera, who just moved over from right to center, reacts very late to that ball, and that'll be an RBI double for Gio Urshela. So the run scores, and the Kansas City Royals are within 6. Put your rally caps on. KC might be back in the game. 2 away here for Edward Olivares. Flies this one into right, and this one will doink off the glove of Josh Naylor. Run scores. Olivares rounds second, heads to third for a triple. So that'll be an error against Josh Naylor. That's a hard play. I'll give Naylor some slack, but it was right in his glove. How do you drop that? That'll bring up Alberto Mondesi, another hard play here for Naylor. This time he comes down with it. So the Royals score 2. Maybe Cleveland shouldn't have kept Adbert Alzolay in the game as his day wraps up with 6 pretty solid innings. Cleveland leads by 5 with just 3 to go. We'll see if they can hold on. Eddie Rosario up here in the 7th. Grounds it to first, and the first baseman makes another play. Eddie Rosario very well could be 4 for 4 right now, but the first baseman has robbed him of multiple base hits in this ballgame. Still a really strong game for Rosario, not to take anything away, as Camilo Doval makes his first Major League appearance in over a month, and he's going to plunk Nicky Lopez. In our game earlier this year against the Royals, where both teams were plunking batters, Camilo Doval was part of that. I think he hit multiple Kansas City players as Isaac Benitez draws a walk. Runners on the corners, 1 away here for Salvador Perez. He strikes out. That's a big pitch there from Camilo Doval, and now Kansas City's going to need to score here on this play to drive anything in this inning, and it's not going to happen as Mitch Haniger strikes out. So Camilo Doval gets in a little bit of the jam, allowing 2 early base runners, but nobody scores. So with Cleveland leading by 5, we figured, why not see what Ryan Weathers, our long reliever, can do, making his Cleveland debut. Weathers has got some nice hair, and it looks like he'll have a nice first inning, as it'll be a double play off the bat of Edward Olivares. 5-4-3 goes down at Kansas City. So now we move into the top of the 9th. Josh Stormont is in for the Royals. He has an ERA at 7 this year as he faces off against Josh Bell. He hits that one very high, very deep in right field, and it will go into the bullpen for a solo home run, and the Guardians extend the lead even further as it is now 9-3. Ryan Weathers still in the game as the Royals are down to their last strike. It's Isaac Benitez swinging a miss on the fastball, and Cleveland beats their big-time rivals 9-3. After getting swept by the Royals right after the All-Star break, it feels really good to not only beat them, but beat them handedly. We were the significantly better team today. Our offense was really good. We were just slugging the baseball around the park. Home runs for Rosario, Bell, 2 for Jose Ramirez, Ketel Marte as well. We also had Brian Rocchio's Major League debut really not go to plan. He only had 1 at bat after getting injured in the 3rd inning. As for the pitching, Adbert Alzolay did good. The bullpen did good. Overall, good win. So, Brian Rocchio, he tore his labrum, and he's done for the year. So that's a plot twist I wasn't really expecting, but here we are. After just 1 big league at bat, Brian Rocchio suffers a major injury that'll take over 6 months for him to recover. This is really bad news. I did not plan for this at all. We don't have any other Major League shortstops behind him. Ryan Bliss is not a Major League caliber starter, and Gabriel Arias just isn't consistent enough, I think. But there is one saving grace. We're still on July 31st. I have not simulated past the date, so therefore we haven't technically passed the trade deadline. So that means we can go out and trade for a shortstop, which I think we're going to do that in the next episode. I was going to do some simulating to wrap up today, but obviously that's not going to happen because we can't sim past the deadline because we need a new veteran shortstop because Gabriel Arias and Ryan Bliss are not Major League starters. So we're certainly in a sticky situation, but hopefully we can get a trade going and get someone who can be a stopgap guy for 2 months. Let Brian Rocchio recover, and then he'll be the full-time guy in season number 3. So that is certainly a big-time plot twist here for the rest of the season, which is going to wrap up the episode here today. Let me know what you thought of our trades and all our roster moves down below in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe as well. Peace out.